Hey fellow programmers, so today we're going to look at palindromes. This is a very popular topic for interviewers to ask, and it gets a little bit tricky, so pay attention. First, let's define what palindromes are. A palindrome is simply a word that is spelled the same way front to back as it is back to front. So if you take, for example, the word race car, if you spell it backwards, it's the same exact word. This can also apply to phrases as well. For example, nurses run. If you look at spelling it backwards, so N-U-R-S-E, so we're ignoring this space, N-U-R-S-E. From front to back, we have N-U-R-S-E-S. So it's the exact same thing. So the question is, given a word or phrase, can you determine whether it's a palindrome? In other words, write a function that determines whether a word is the same spelled back to front as it is front to back. So we need a couple things here. First of all, ignore this stuff. This is just some setup code that I have. I'm just clearing the console on every time this runs so that we don't get confused by old values whenever we're printing stuff out to the console. And then this log just is a shortcut function because I just don't feel like typing out console.log every time. Alright, the most important, or one of the most important things that we're going to need when writing this function is knowing how to reverse a word, or how to reverse a string rather. Now, I made a video on JavaScript string reversal, and I'll link that down in the description below, but you're going to need to know and understand at least one of the methods to reverse a string, and there's many of them out there. This is just one of my favorites. I just chose this because it's so concise and you can easily read it. I'm not going to spend time explaining it because, like I said, there's another video. Please watch that. But this is starting out where we're going to need this in order to flip the word and then basically compare it to the word that's given. So let's start out by creating a const and saying reversed word is equal to, now what do we want to do? We want to take the argument that's passed in here and we want to reverse it, right? So we're going to do reverse word. Okay, so now we're taking a word such as I, we're passing it in here, so imagine this is I, and we're passing it into the reverse method. It's going to do the reversal and it's going to assign to a constant reversed word. Let's actually log that out just to see what happens. Now I'm going to run this function, and we have the word I. Now again, since this is a palindrome, you're going to see it spelled the same. But let's say we add something different, and now you see that it is indeed reversing the word. Let's try something else that's not a palindrome. So the word itself is not a palindrome. So we can see that the reverse method is working. Great. So now on to the next piece. And this one is simply going to return a Boolean value. So it's going to return true if the word is equal to the reversed word. And I am just using the ternary operator here just to make things short and concise. Now this should be working. I'm not sure why it's not. Oh, actually it is working. We just need to call this. It's just not printing it, so I need to call it inside of a console log statement. And now we see that we get a false. So is the word word a palindrome? No, it's false. Let's try the word I. We get true. Great. Let's try the word race car, which is another palindrome. Great. So we have I. Well, let's just try one more. Madam. Yes. So this seems to pass. Now let's try an actual phrase. I'm going to take this, copy it. Oh, wait a minute. This is not right. This should print true because, again, if you ignore all the spaces and all the characters, you're going to see the exact same spelling. You're going to see the exact same letters or characters front to back as back to front. Again, N-O-L-E-M, N-O-L-E-M. Okay, so what is going on here? Well, what's going on here is we're simply not taking into account these spaces and the characters. So this is reversing the word, but it's keeping the spaces and the characters, as you can see here. In addition to that, we also have a capital letter here. Now this one is, again, it's not easy to spot, but you also have to take into consideration capital letter. So how do we, I'm going to comment this out, we'll need it in just a second. So how do we do these three things? Okay. So first of all, remove capital letters. The second, remove spaces, and then remove special characters. Well, we're going to do that by making use of a thing called regex. And what regex is an expression. It's a special expression that you can use to manipulate strings. So, for example, we have A through Z, lowercase, and 0 through 9. Now, what this does is this is not a course on, or this is not a video on regular expressions. That's a whole separate topic. So I'm just briefly going to explain it here. So, but what this expression does is it only takes into consideration the characters that are from capital A to capital Z, lowercase a to lowercase z, and the numbers 0 through 9. Now there is actually a shorter way of writing this, and that is this. And /G, it means globally, so apply this globally. Again, if you don't know about regex, please research that, and this will make a lot more sense. But as far as this video is concerned, this is about as much as I'll get into it. So what this does is this /\w is the exact same, equals the exact same thing as this. So it's going to only look for the alphabet, either capital or lowercase, and then numbers 0 through 9. Everything else it will discard. So in other words, this comma here, it will remove it. Also, this space here, it will remove it, and any other character that you have. So let's test this out actually. So we're going to actually let me rename this lowercase and alphanumeric, and we're going to take the word and we're going to use the replace method, which is a method on strings. We're going to pass in the regular expression. We're going to pass in an empty string here, meaning to replace anything that doesn't match this with an empty string. And then we're going to do to lowercase, because we want to have basic foundation. We want everything to be on the same level in order to compare it. So if we have capital letters, we want to turn those into lowercase letters before the comparison happens. So everything is, all the characters, all the spaces are stripped away, and all the capital letters are turned into lowercase. Now what we're going to do is create a constant or a const variable, and we're going to pass this variable to the reverse. Going to pass the lowercase and alphanumeric variable to the reverse method here, and then we're going to return actually let me rewrite this lowercase. I should have called it something shorter. Let's run this and test it out. Well, actually it's already running, so we see that we are getting a true here. So now let's add a character and make this a false statement. So you see I changed it by adding a Q, so now it no longer equals the same spelled backwards as it is front to back. In other words, this is not a palindrome, but this is. So now, if you remember the difference, previously we were only race car. Previously we were only getting true, is palindrome is true on individual words, but now we can put in these phrases and we'd still get true, because this, again, we're taking into consideration the uppercase, so we're turning everything to lowercase, and then we are replacing all of the non-alphanumeric characters with a string, and then we are passing that modified word called lowercase alpha in alphanumeric, we're passing it to the reverse method, which reverses this string, and then we are comparing this lowercase and alphanumeric modified string to the reversed word, which is the lowercase and alphanumeric reverse, or the result of the reverse function. So let's add a couple of log statements here. Lowercase alphanumeric. So now again, I'm going over the same thing, but you know, repetition is best for learning. So we can clearly see that everything is lowercase, and all of the characters and the spaces have been removed. So let's log the reversed word, which is taking this one, whatever we had, and this, excuse me. So now that you understand how a palindrome works and how to write a function that tests for both use cases, god damn it. So now you know what a palindrome is and how to write a function that looks at several different use cases and scenarios, meaning you can check whether a single word is a palindrome or a phrase that includes capital letters, special characters, and spaces. That is a much more advanced way of writing whether something is a palindrome, and if you do this, you will definitely impress the interviewer. Thanks, guys, and good luck on your interview.